all of the conversation right now, all of it, every single piece is about Mike Tomlin, his future with the Pittsburgh Steelers, if they would actually fire him, if they would listen to the fans, or if they would just let it stay the same and let everything coast the way that it's been coasting and just hope for the best. Well, I'll say this. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are nowhere near knowing if it's time to move on from Mike Tomlin or not. I think there is a lot that can change. And I think that the door is certainly open, but maybe not for everything that's being floated out there. And after a week of pure chaos, a week of the fans chanting fire Tomlin at a game, a brutal loss to the Buffalo Bills, false rumors coming out about Art Rooney leaving the game early. That's how just upset he was at the whole ordeal. After all of it, I think it's time to kind of take a breather, analyze where we are, what's real and not real, what's a real possibility and what is not a real possibility, and then see where the Steelers go in the next 5 weeks. And then we will know just how much of this is nonsense, just how much of this is anger, and just how much of this is, well, warranted conversation with real possible outcomes at the end of the 2025 season. What's going on, everybody? I'm Noah Strackbine. Thank you for jumping on to another episode of Steelers to Go, your daily dose of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check me out anywhere you get your podcasts. And as always, hit that like and subscribe button before we get rolling here. I can't thank you enough. I come to you every Monday through Friday with a little bit of news, a little bit of analysis. Today, we're going to deep dive into both of them. There is so much floating around out there, so many rumors, so many thoughts, so many calls to action. Well, some of it's got to be real. Some of it can't be real. And I think it's time to actually break down what is and what isn't, and then see how realistic Mike Tomlin really leaving the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Steelers actually moving on, or him actually moving on, is. Let's start with the obvious. What the heck are we talking about? The Rooney rumor that he left the stadium early against the Buffalo Bills is not true. It's not even close to true. I told this story before the rumors even came out, and I won't give enlightenment or a spotlight to who started the nonsense rumors. But I told this story 24 hours before the rumors came out that I rode the elevator after the game with Art Rooney, Omar Khan, and Dan Rooney. I stood right next to the man and said, "Go ahead, Art, after you. Thank you." And he walked right past me. He didn't leave. The frustrations are high, but they're not that high. He didn't reach a boiling point yet. He is not at a place where he is giving up on this team, and he is so angry at either his coaching staff or his players or the fan base for chanting fire Tomlin that he had to get out of there so quickly that he left before the game. That's not true. It's not even close. And it doesn't add to any narrative. It tried to add to the narrative that he is nearing an end and or he's not listening to you, but neither of them are true. Art Rooney right now where we sit today, and this comes from a source inside the building, the same source that told me Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers were eventually going to sign months before they actually did. The same source that told me George Pickens was on his way out before they did. Reliable names tell you, or tell me, and I'll tell you, that the Steelers right now do not view Mike Tomlin as a guy who they will fire at the end of 2025. But there's 5 games left, and a lot could happen. And there also is some speculation inside the building that Mike Tomlin might want to leave, and the Steelers don't even have to fire him. Let's move on to the second chaotic, crazy thing to come out, and that is Ben Roethlisberger. Shout out to Big Ben, floating, hey, Mike Tomlin should go to Penn State. What? Mike Tomlin would not go to the college level. He would not go from coaching Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Rodgers and Cam Hayward and TJ Watt and all of DK Metcalf and all of the names that he has coached over the years and then say, I'm going to go sit on somebody's couch in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, and try to recruit this 16-year-old kid to Penn State. Nope. He's not going to do that. He's not even going to think about doing that. Mike Tomlin going to the college level is the craziest thing I've ever heard. Would he be good at it? He'd be fantastic at coaching the college level, but he's got no interest in that. None whatsoever. Who wants to go to the middle of nowhere, PA, make less money than you're going to make with the Pittsburgh Steelers, coach worse talent, and deal with the situation that you're better than, frankly, that you are already surpassed. You've made a name in the NFL. You will get coaching offers in 2 seconds the second that you leave the Pittsburgh Steelers. But he's not going to Penn State. Come on, guys. There's no chance he's going to Penn State. And I get it. Ben just floated it out there, but it's hilarious nonetheless. It is. Then there's the Giants rumor. Well, Mike T, maybe he'll want to get traded to the Giants. Maybe the Steelers will trade him to the Giants. This is where I fight back on this one. Mike T would not allow himself to be traded to New York only because if he ends up in New York, he needs his draft picks. He needs his capital. And you lose that in a trade. He'll get signed for just as much, if not more money with the New York Giants if he was to get fired or if he was asked to be let go from his position and the Steelers were to part ways with him. If that was the case, then Mike T would go to New York and make the same $15 million a year that he's making right now. None of it would change. He's not going to do that and lose a first-round pick in the process. He just wouldn't. He'd be thinking about it going, I need that first-round pick to keep this team competitive, to build around Jackson Dart, to give Brian Burns that last push. I need it all. He's not giving that up to go coach another team. He would never. Now let's flip this thing around and talk about how maybe he would leave, because there is some belief that he would want to leave the Pittsburgh Steelers after the 2025 season. Well, that belief makes a lot of sense, and the Steelers maybe would allow him to do it. If the Steelers go 0-5 in these next 5 games, everything and anything's on the table. If the Steelers go 1-4 in these next 5 games, everything and anything is on the table. If the Steelers go 2-3 in these next 5 games, everything and anything is on the table. The only way that it flips itself back around is if they go 9-8, make the playoffs, and we are back to square one come week 1 of 2026. But losses will lead to louder chants earlier in games, and that will eat at Mike Tomlin. The floodgates are already open. I've said this numerous times, and it's just going to get more and more apparent that the fan base cannot stand this guy. And they do not want him here. I think Mike T would actually leave if everything just continued to sink and the Pittsburgh Steelers don't make the playoffs and don't finish with an above 500 record, and the fans at the end of the season have hit a boiling point where the second game start, it's over. Where week 18 of the regular season, the fire Tomlin chants are so loud and so early that they don't even get an opportunity to do anything. It's just immediate. Fire Tomlin. I think at that point, yeah, Mike T might actually want to leave. He might actually look at it and say, I have so much passion for this and I'm so good at this that I do want to get out of here. And there will be jobs available that are pretty good. Tennessee will be up, but I don't think Mike T would go there, and I don't think I would trust him to go there. I think New York is a very flashy position that makes a lot of sense for Mike Tomlin. I think there's a chance that the Cincinnati Bengals are looking for a new head coach at the end of the year, and I mean, that's not a good roster, but you got a good quarterback. Maybe Mike T thinks about it. I think there will be names and situations that make a ton of sense for Mike Tomlin. And I think the next 5 games is where it gets realistic. But I think in the same conversation, it is not realistic to think that the Steelers would fire him. They would not fire him if they even lost every game for the remainder of the season. I think they'd still go into the offseason and they would view it and say one bad year is not enough to move on from a guy we've been dedicated to for 19. But I think Mike T might say, I'm ready to go. And that's where it becomes real compared to just a bunch of nonsense. The nonsense is all over the place. But the real part of this is that Mike Tomlin might actually want out. Something we won't know for 5 more weeks because a lot of possibilities are still out there. Too many of them. Too many of them to sit here and say, we know what's going to happen. We have no idea. How the season plays out is going to determine how close this thing really is to coming to an end. Thank you guys so much for jumping on to another episode of Steelers to Go, your daily dose of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check me out anywhere you get your podcast. Before you head out of here, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. I can't thank you guys enough for everything that you do. It does wonders for the channel and for myself, and I'm very appreciative of it. And with that said, I will be back later for the flagship show. Until then, enjoy another beautiful day in the Berg. Peace.